Welcome to Running on Reddit r/JUSTNOFIL, where fathers and fathers-in-law are bitter and vile. So late September/early October, my father-in-law moved in with my husband, 2-year-old, and it went okay at first. Husband had told me that he wouldn't do his drugs in our house because I had grown up with a drug addict and wasn't comfortable with the idea that my child would be around it. That and him keeping his room clean were the only rules that we had. He did good with those rules for the first week or so, and then things went south really fast. My father-in-law had always had a problem with me. I didn't graduate high school because my mental illness got to the point that I had went to the hospital. I had ugly face piercings. I stole his baby boy away from him. Just an entire list that any normal person would have gotten over because I make my husband happy. He just couldn't let it go. For months he would make sly comments under his breath about my parenting, about how the food I cooked wasn't to his liking, or how I only cleaned after my toddler went to bed. I had told my husband for a while that I just wanted him gone. I had my problems with him. It's not really a big deal, but to me, it was for Christmas 2019. He got my husband a $400 radio that he had put time and effort into looking into. Nothing for my child, and for me, he got me something that cost $3 at the dollar store 2 weeks later that he saw and just thought, this will be good. It doesn't matter, but he just held his son in a much higher regard than his grandson. I would say about a month ago he blew up. My toddler was being loud because he liked the cartoon that was on TV and father-in-law got upset. He had been sleeping for the past 4 days at that point, and I was the reason that his sleep was interrupted. So he said, this is BS. I'm trying to sleep. Make that ducking kid shut the hell up. I blew. I told him to get his stuff and leave. Texted my husband to get him out, or the kid and I wouldn't be returning home. Husband sided with me and kicked out his dad. Yeah, I may have been but about the situation. But later that night we were looking for evidence for confirmation about my suspension about him using in our house. I was right. He was not only making his drugs in our home, but was also smoking when no one was home. I was pissed and saw red. I blocked him on all social media, advised my husband to do the same. He hasn't because he wants his dad to get his stuff out of our house. So, at this point, our house is ours again. Father-in-law is still talking crap about me and can't seem to understand that it was his actions that made him homeless. Dang, perhaps the father-in-law was trying to channel Walter White from Breaking Bad, but just got caught at a bad time. In all seriousness, poor kid though. So, this weekend was quite the experience. We drove the 3 hours to mother-in-law's house to be with her when she told Garden Gnome that she was leaving him after 15 years of mental and emotional abuse from him. He took it better than we expected, which isn't saying much, but at least he didn't get physically aggressive. He started complaining about their finances and how they are in debt for an RV that he bought and the house that he bullied her into getting. He's retired and mother-in-law is the breadwinner by quite a bit. They only have a joint account. Luckily, mother-in-law created a secret account that she's been putting money in for a few months. With her account she's been able to get an apartment in the area. He got very angry that they are going to be selling the house and kept trying to find out where mother-in-law is moving to, but seemed to settle down for a bit. That is until the next morning. This man has 12 grandkids, and he is so uninvolved in their lives that he doesn't know the names of the youngest 6. One is literally only a few months old. Even I know her name and I've never even seen the kid. Garden Gnome texted mother-in-law to ask what the kids' names are. We are trying to convince mother-in-law to get a restraining order against Garden Gnome because he has now accused her of mental and emotional abuse over leaving him destitute in his dying years. He's not that old and doesn't have any medical issues. Mother-in-law is a religious leader and Garden Gnome called her boss to try to get her fired. But luckily, mother-in-law is doing a lot better now that she's not living with him and is in the process of getting divorce papers drawn up. Garden Gnome? What an excellent nickname. The visual for such a creature as this father-in-law is fitting. My husband and I were talking about my oldest son's biological family today, and this story came up. It's only one of many with this awful man, but is also one of the last, since it truly opened my eyes to who he is. Backstory, this was in October 2014. My mom had both small and non-small cell lung cancer, and she had been taken by ambulance to a nearby ICU. She told me I didn't need to come, but soon after I got a call from the hospital saying it's urgent, and I needed to be there, so I dropped everything and went. I don't remember how my then 8-year-old got into the care of his grandfather, just no ex-father-in-law. That day, I may have called my ex and asked him to get our son. Anyways, when I got to the hospital the doctor tells me that it's over and we need to put her on morphine and to let her go over the weekend. This was a shock to me at 26 years old having to handle this. But the first thing I did was call my ex and ask him to get my son to the hospital as quickly as possible because my mom was dying. Within an hour, they had intubated her and put her in life support. We never heard her voice again. Eventually my just no ex-father-in-law shows up with my son a full hour and a half after I had called. I was sitting in the hallway sobbing, and neither myself or my son was allowed in the room at the moment, so I hugged my boy and asked ex-father-in-law to take him home. My mom was gone within 10 days. So, fast forward about 6 weeks. My son and I are preparing to spend our very first Christmas without my mom. Holidays were always hosted at my mom's house. I get a text from ex-father-in-law saying that he would like to spend Christmas morning with my son between 9 to 11 am. I told him that wouldn't work for us, but 1 to 3 pm would be better. He flew off the handle. He tells me the afternoon doesn't work for him because he's driving to Temecula. Oh boy, a whole 2-hour drive to see his wife's family at 11 am, so he has to see my son in the morning. I say I'm sorry, but that won't work for us, and we'll have to find another time/day. Now, this is after literally 8 years of battling this man, and being called every rotten name you can think of by him, because I don't let him have his way with my son. I've had it at this point. But, here is a quote that made me go from hating him to hoping he was dead. I can't believe you. You're such a selfish skank, always keeping son's name away from us. He's going to hate you when he's older and realizes what a meanie you are. You're such an idiot you couldn't even say thank you after I brought son's name to the hospital. Oh, hell no. You took an hour and a half to get there and stole the opportunity for my son and mom to say goodbye to each other, and you expect me to thank you for that? And what normal rational caring person would even expect a thank you while I was sobbing on the hallway floor in the ICU? I responded by calling him a butthole and saying that I didn't owe him anything and that if he wanted to see his grandson he'd have to coordinate that through his deadbeat son. I blocked him and he stayed blocked for nearly 2 years. Wow. Truly, when she needed all of the support in the time of mourning her mother, the father-in-law displayed his full colors, cold, sinister, and black. Let me know in the comments what you think of this shocking story. If you like the content and want to support the channel, like and subscribe right now, or you'll be running on fumes. Some backstory is that this man has been awful and abusive to me for years. Never physically, mostly in the form of name calling, meanie, skank, etc., gaslighting, making me feel guilty for completely normal things, blaming me for his lack of relationship with my damn son, etc. It goes on and on. Some more backstory is that I was pregnant with twins until January when they were tragically stillborn. My husband and I were heartbroken and are still trying to grieve and move past this. Anyways, this morning I was at my computer working from home, making my to-do list and relishing the fact that I lost another pound on the scale. Yes. When suddenly a Facebook message comes through from just no ex-father-in-law. Now, this is weird, because we are not friends on Facebook, even though we have sent messages in the distant past, and I don't use Facebook anymore. I haven't for years. Anyways, I assume that somehow this man found out about my baby's dying. He sent me this message. Doesn't karma suck? The worst part is you still have a lot more coming. Word for word, complete with the emoji and all. You all. I was fuming. But, only for a few minutes. It was like a PTSD response or something, because my adrenaline was running, my hands were shaking. I was afraid, the whole 9 yards. But then I realized, this guy is sad. He's sick and hateful. He doesn't love my son, he loves his possessions, and he hates me for taking his possession, my damn son, away from him when we moved out of state. He never even asked how my damn son is doing, losing his baby brother and sister. Sick, sick, sick. So, I made the decision to post on Facebook for the first time in like 4 years. I told all of those friends about the babies, the tragic loss, and finished off with the beautiful message my just no ex-father-in-law sent me this morning. Abuse like this cannot live in the sunlight. It thrives in the shadows. I was afraid of him for years, but I'm not afraid of him anymore. He doesn't have anything to take from me. He doesn't hold any power over me. I'm already getting messages from his family telling me how disgusting he is. I'm sure he's heard about my post by now. Public shaming for the win. In addition, my damn son is going to be 14 this month. He's old enough to hear the truth about his grandfather. So, if he wants to hear about it, I will tell him. If he doesn't, I'll respect that. My response to just no ex-father-in-law? Damn son will know who his grandfather is. He loved those babies too. So, good luck to just no ex-father-in-law trying to have a relationship with my damn son anytime soon. Does he not realize that my damn son actually loves me and our family? What a doofus. I'm sure he doesn't even realize that my damn son isn't a sweet 6-year-old anymore, and that he's capable of having his own thoughts and opinions. Where do these father-in-laws come from? Mordor? Hell. The dark side of the moon. His abuse of OP is disturbing and disgusting. Thanks for watching. Remember to subscribe and turn on the bell or you'll be running on fumes. See you in the next video.